What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of D's Corner. Today, we're going through my first 2026 NFL mock draft. Going to be some changes. We have free agency tampering window is underway right now. So, obviously, some of these picks may change. They may vary depending on what the teams do in free agency. I'm going to just put up my entire mock, and we're just going to go from there. The first pick, let's be honest, the draft starts at 2. Got to go through the first pick. First pick, the Raiders are taking Fernando Mendoza. They need a quarterback. They're starting to beef up this offensive line through free agency, preparing for Mendoza. He's going to come in, potentially could sit. I believe that's what Tom Brady and the Raiders want to do, but we'll see. The second pick, I'm making a big splash early on in this pick, and this is just my mindset on the New York Jets selecting Sonny Styles, a linebacker out of Ohio State. When Aaron Glenn was a part of the Detroit Lions, they were mocked because they took Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell in the first round. They did just franchise tag Breece Hall, and Sonny Styles has the exact measurables of Jack Campbell. He's 6'5", he's 245 pounds. This guy's a freak, though, with the 43.5-inch vertical. He ran a 4.47. He can instantly be the green dot. They did just sign Demario Davis in free agency, so we'll see how that shakes up the draft. With the third pick, I have the Cardinals selecting Jeremiah Love. They need a running back. They're going to go into a new quarterback era. We don't know who that quarterback will be yet. Come Wednesday, Kyler Murray will be released, but you will have your triplets with Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, and then drafting Jeremiah Love. The Tennessee Titans at 4, I have them taking edge David Bailey out of Texas Tech. He's an explosive pass rusher. He's extremely long has an extremely long wingspan, and he can impact the passing game by knocking down passes, as we saw him do throughout the playoffs. Pick number 5, I have the Giants going Arvell Reese. He's an edge linebacker out of Ohio State. They just signed Tremaine Edmonds, I believe, so that could possibly negate this pick here. Potential Kayvon Thibodeau trade as well, but you could bring Arvell Reese, getting back to a defensive way what John Harbaugh is used to with the Ravens, getting them an impactful defensive player early on. With the 6th pick, I have the Cleveland Browns selecting Monroe Fleming, the left tackle out of Georgia. The Browns need an offensive line. All 5 of their offensive linemen are free agents, so they're already starting to rebuild through trades. And now in this mock draft, taking Fleming, who's actually played left tackle for his entire career in the SEC. Pick number 7, I have the Washington Commanders selecting Ruben Baines, the edge out of Miami. Despite his shorter arms, we already know that, but put on the tape. The kid can play. He has a rush, and he can impact the run. He can be an impactful rookie early on. At pick 8, I have the New Orleans Saints selecting wide receiver Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. They're going to pair Tate with another former Buckeye, Chris Olave. I think Tate is an exceptional route runner. I think he's probably the most pro-ready from a route running standpoint, wide receiver in this draft. He did have one drop all of last season. So Tyler Shough needs some weapons to throw to. They just signed Travis Etienne in the backfield. So we'll see what Kellen Moore can do in New Orleans. Kansas City at pick 9, I have them going Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State. After trading away Trent McDuffie, they need defensive playmakers. They lost both their corners to the Rams, both starting corners from last year to the Rams. But you have Caleb Downs, who will allow them to be very, very aggressive on that defensive front. We know Spags likes to come with a blitz. Downs is an exceptional blitzer. He is a for sure tackler, a great football IQ, great instincts. This is a good football player for the Kansas City Chiefs. At pick 10, the Cincinnati Bengals, I have them selecting Francis Maianova. He'll play guard or right tackle out of Miami. You can say what you want to say about what they need on defense. The Ravens just traded for Max Crosby. You have to go up against Max Crosby twice a year, Myles Garrett twice a year, and TJ Watt twice a year. This is already a physical division, they need to protect Joe Burrow. They can go nowhere with their quarterback on the sideline. At pick 11, I have the Miami Dolphins selecting cornerback Mansour Delane out of LSU. There's so much roster uncertainty. They just signed Malik Willis. They're going to need some defenders. Delane's the best corner, with McCoy having the injury history from last season. Mansour makes the most sense to me at this position. The Dallas Cowboys, I have them selecting Jamad McCoy, the corner from Tennessee. He missed all last season with an ACL injury, like I said, but his 2024 tape was great, and he looked like the number one corner then. At pick 13, I have the Rams selecting Spencer Fano, the offensive lineman from Utah. He can be a plug and play at right tackle or at guard. They're going to build around Matthew Stafford and making at least one more run this year, depending on what Stafford plans to do. The 14th pick, this is the pick that the Ravens traded over to the Raiders. This pick could now not necessarily happen based off what they're doing in free agency, but I have them taking the guard Vega Ione out of Penn State. Powerful run blocker. He's a mauler. Getting back to Raider football, he's going to protect Mendoza and really open up holes for Ashton Genty. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I have them going Kenyon Sadiq. They are going to need weapons. They just lost Mike Evans to the 49ers. Kenyon Sadiq is a dynamic tight end. He's going to give Baker Mayfield and Emeka Egbuka from last year a nice 1-2 punch. These are players that you can get the football to quickly, and they can make plays in space. Pick 16, I have the New York Jets going Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver out of Arizona State. We're going to pair him with Garrett Wilson and give whoever their future quarterback is more support. Detroit Lions, I have them going at 17 with Caleb Lomu, the other offensive tackle from Utah. Taylor Decker requested his release. You can bring Lomu along, have Penei Sewell kind of bring him under his wing and get that offensive line back to what it's used to being in Detroit, at least under the Dan Campbell regime. At pick 18, I have the Minnesota Vikings selecting Caleb Banks, the defensive tackle out of Florida, who's seen his stock rise since the combine. They just released or are planning to release Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. Brian Flores would love this kid and his defense. The Carolina Panthers, I have them selecting Keldrick Faulk. He is the edge rusher out of Auburn. They just signed or offered, can't do anything officially until Wednesday, Jalen Phillips of the Eagles. Faulk was going to give them a great move piece with Derek Brown. Now you have Jalen Phillips. You can have a nice defensive front seven under Evero, I believe, is the defensive coordinator. This Carolina Panthers team is really, really, really starting to look pretty good, especially after making the playoffs last year. The Dallas Cowboys, I have them going Akeem Messidor, the edge out of Miami. They're continuing to build on that defense. They're getting another disruptive defensive lineman with Akeem Messidor. Pittsburgh Steelers, I have them going wide receiver Mekhi Lemon. This could not happen now because they just traded with my Colts and got Michael Pittman. But they do need another weapon alongside DK Metcalf. Like I said, this may not happen now, but Mekhi Lemon is a dog of a football player, and he just kind of screams Steelers football to me. The Los Angeles Chargers, I have them taking Caden Proctor. He played tackle in college, but I believe he'll be a guard at least early on. But that gives you position flexibility, because what hindered the Chargers so much this year was all of the injuries, especially at their tackles. They just lost Zion Johnson. I believe he signed to the Browns, and they released Mekhi Becton, so they do need interior offensive linemen. Pick 23, I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Dylan Thiemann. He is the safety out of Oregon. This is going to continue to strengthen that secondary. It allows Cooper DeJean to stay in the slot. Reed Blankenship is a free agent. You compare Thiemann with Makuba from last year. You still got DeJean in the slot. You got Quignon. Just re-signed Jordan Davis. See what they're going to do with Jalen Carter and A.J. Brown. There's been trade talks about both of them. So for Philly to get back to where Philly wants to be, they have to be dominant on that defensive side. Pick 24 out of the Cleveland Browns selecting Omar Cooper, the wide receiver out of Indiana. explosive wide receiver, known for his catch and run ability. Something that Cleveland doesn't have right now. After beefing up their offensive line through trades and their first pick, get whoever your quarterback's going to be, get him some more weapons because you're in desperate need out there in Cleveland. The Chicago Bears at pick 25, I have him taking safety Emmanuel McNeil-Warren out of Toledo. He's a big physical safety. He feels a major need on this defensive backfield. I think they just signed Kobe Bryant from the Seahawks. I believe that's who it is. I probably should have pulled it up while I'm doing this video, but McNeil-Warren, great young player from Toledo, where Quinyon Mitchell is from, kind of following in those footsteps. He would be able to make an immediate impact for the Chicago Bears. The Buffalo Bills at 26. I have them taking defensive lineman TJ Parker. I believe Parker can play inside and outside, gives them a little bit of scheme versatility, allows you to have a nice rotation with Ed Oliver as well as Greg Russo. AJ Epinesa and Joey Bosa are both free agents, but this still gives you some mix and match here. This team kind of struggled defensively, especially when Ed Oliver went down with injury. Pick 27, I have the San Francisco 49ers. They are selecting Blake Miller, the offensive tackle out of Clemson. There's talks now that they could possibly trade Trent Williams. We'll see how far that goes. If that actually goes, I believe they'll probably re-sign him. They're just trying to get the money worked out. But either way, you're going to need somebody for the future. Get Blake Miller, somebody who can come in and help you on the right side, maybe potentially take over for Trent Williams on the left side in the years to come. But Trent Williams can come in, and Trent Williams can bring them under their wing and show them how to be a pro. At pick 28, I have the Houston Texans select guard Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon. They just need offensive line. They're traded two of their starters away. They got to rebuild this offensive line. This team is stacked damn near everywhere else except that offensive line, and not sure what happened with CJ last year. Protecting him, trying to get him back to what he was as a rookie has to be a priority, especially since he's coming up in contract, being able to get his fifth-year option or coming up for his second contract. At pick 29, this is the trade for McDuffie with the Rams. I have the Kansas City Chiefs selecting Avion Terrell, the corner from Clemson, brother of AJ with the Falcons. But Chiefs add a corner, Terrell. He's an elite cover guy. He's extremely sticky. I don't think he is versatile enough to play inside and outside, but the Chiefs are going to have to rebuild this defense. They've lost Brian Cook. They lost both of their starting corners. They're going to have to get back on that secondary, getting it young, getting it going. They don't really value the cornerback position, so they may not take one here in the first round. We'll see, but I like the value of Terrell at 29. Denver Broncos at 30, I have him taking linebacker C.J. Allen out of Georgia. He is a middle of the field leader. He is going to be sideline to sideline. He's going to get you guys lined up. This is something that you add him to what that defense already was last year, and this team just continues to look scary. This was the first seed. This was the number one seed in the AFC. We'll see what they're able to do. The New England Patriots, I have them selecting Cassius Howe as the edge out of Texas A&M. They got to strengthen up that pass rush. They were in on, at least early on, talks were for Max Crosby. They could still be in for the A.J. Brown, so maybe they don't even have this pick if they traded for A.J., but for now I have them taking Howe. And at the 32nd pick, the Super Bowl champ, Seattle Seahawks, I have them selecting cornerback Colton Hood of Tennessee. They have to reboot, if you will, in that secondary, especially in that cornerback room. Rick Woolen is a free agent. They just lost Kobe Bryant in that secondary. Warrior is a movable piece who can play safety. He can play in the slot. You're going to need somebody opposite of Witherspoon. Everywhere else on that defense is pretty solid. They're going to have to, make some moves here, some moves there. But I like Colton Hood for the Seattle Seahawks. So that is my full first round pick. Let me know what you guys think, what pick I got right, what pick I didn't, who you think your team should take. And don't forget to subscribe, but be on the lookout for the second round of this mock draft.